Hello, welcome to episode 8 of the Jen Murphy Show. I feel like I need a new title for this, which I feel like I say every episode. So this is the redo of episode 8 because I actually did it last night, and thankfully, only an hour after I posted it, a very biggest fan let me know that there was no sound on the one I released last night. So I don't know what I did wrong. Guys, I do this by myself. Not that it's that hard, but every so often, I guess there's going to be a mistake. So I was pretty proud of myself because I did a 30-minute podcast last night by myself, which I felt very proud that I talked by myself for 30 minutes because it's sometimes not easy, but it didn't record. And so I'm doing it again, which the only problem is, I obviously I would know the topics that I talked about last night, but I just write down bullet points and then I tend to just improvise or ramble. As you know, I do a lot of rambling. I don't necessarily know exactly what I'm going to say. And after recording it, I don't always know exactly what I said because I was rambling. So I'm going to hit on the same topics, but it's not going to be exactly the same as what I recorded last night. But I'll just take that as a positive. Maybe last night's recording wasn't very good. Maybe tonight's will be better. That's all I can hope. But this is round 2 of the Jen Murphy Show, episode 8. I am back solo. Last week I had a guest who I loved. So I'm back. Tonight my topic is basically how to find a friend with benefits, I guess you would call, or if you want to be a little dirtier, they would call them a fuck buddy. I I don't feel like I want a relationship, but I feel like I want somebody who I can have sex with regularly, but still communicate with. I had a fuck buddy, friend with benefits. I don't know. I'm always trying to clean it up like my family's going to listen. It's my biggest fear. My biggest fear on the internet is that my family's going to listen. And I'm trying to not edit myself in case they do, but it's hard not to because you don't want your family hearing like weird stuff that you say, especially when you're in your 40s and single. I don't know, it might be awkward, but I'll be totally candid. And if they listen, I apologize to my family. Um, I had a, I'm going to call him a really good friend of benefits because he was really good in bed before the pandemic. That lasted sort of into the pandemic and then it went away. But I struggle with, so I don't know, it gets very tricky, I think, because having a friend with benefits, a fuck buddy that you only see once a month, you can find out that they're sleeping with other people, but it's like, can you get mad? Because if they weren't sleeping with other people, they were if he was only sleeping with me, then that would probably be a relationship, right? So if you're signing on to just be a fuck buddy, you're probably going to assume, or there's probably going to be other people. I don't have other people, but that's just my nature is that I don't sleep with a lot of people. But if you're taking on a guy who's really good in bed and only wants to see you once a month, you're probably going to assume. So I don't know. I've struggled with this for many months. Um, it causes a lot of pain sometimes, and it's not the fact that he might be sleeping with other people is not what causes me the most pain. It's usually just if I feel like I'm being ignored or if I'm not getting any I've talked about this on the podcast with Christina, where it's like you just want somebody to like check in and be like, "How you doing? Are you good? Are you okay?" Like I feel like I'm just gonna speak for me personally. I don't know what other women need. I feel like I don't need a lot. I just need some text messages every so often. I just want to know that somebody cares. I'm sure I've said this before. So this isn't a new topic. But it's like if you're gonna enter my body, I would just like to know that you also would care about my well-being from time to time. I've been trying to do a new joke that I think I hit on like 2 weeks ago when I did a solo podcast. I think I hit on the beginning of it when I was talking about the guy who used sex as a distraction. But I tried that wasn't a joke when I first said it, and now I've tried to add on as a joke. And I've done it on stage and I've gotten kind of mixed reactions. That I think a lot has to do with my age. Because I think there's some jokes I could get away with in my 20s talking about sex where people would think it was funny. And then now that I'm in my 40s, I'll do some jokes about sex where they'll be like, oh, they just feel bad. Like there's nothing worse as a comedian than getting like the, oh, which I think they do once you get older. Because I never used to get those as much when I was younger. And now I'll get like, oh, this poor sad woman in her 40s, which I don't feel old, even though I am, but I guess you have to switch up. It just makes it more of a challenge of how to tell a joke and not get the sadness. But this is the joke I was trying to say is that I think when you have really good sex, and I know I mentioned this, when somebody is entering your body, which is why I think men can never fully understand. Even if they're very compassionate, I don't think physically you know what it's like somebody who's entering your body over and over. It's I mean, when it's really good sex, it's almost like it's filling up most of your body. There's just this like physical like filling when it's happening. The only problem is that that only happens for an hour. And then if it's a fuck buddy you don't see for another month, there's this amazing filling for an hour. And then I feel like I'm high off of it for maybe like a couple days. And then it starts to fuck with me. I'm trying to only talk about myself and I keep using generalizations. It starts to fuck with me where I'm like, then it just starts to feel like this empty void because I have nothing. It's just empty now. There's nothing that's filling. I keep using my hands. If you're watching this on YouTube, watch it on YouTube rather than just listen so you can see the visuals, but you get it. And I feel like that void only gets filled with text messages. I mean, how else could it? I guess. I just know I've read studies that say that like there really is the age that we live in now, there really is like a serotonin boost when your phone dings from a text message, like that little like ding. People like ding, like your brain is become our brains now in this cell phone era have become trained to like get a little like, oh, somebody's contacting me. So I feel like if that ding is coming from somebody who's been inside of you, then it's almost like that ding is like filling that void, almost like they're entering you again just from a text message. Like, oh, ding, oh, that ding is filling this empty void in my body where their dick used to be. Penis. I was going to say penis to be clean, but why am I trying to be clean? So anyway, that's my dilemma. How to have a good fuck butt. It feels like it's a very difficult situation. Because like I said, I think I tend to look for somebody, even though I say I don't run a relationship, I want somebody who likes me and I want somebody who is going to pay attention to me. And then it's like, well, then is that That's almost a relationship then. So I can get mad at a lot of guys for not treating me maybe the way I want to be treated, but I feel like I'm just as confusing to them at the same time. I'm always trying to take responsibility for my own actions instead of blame a lot of other people. Because if I said, like, it's hard when you have friends, friends always want to be on your side and they want to say, well, that guy's an asshole or he's treating you badly. But at the same time, if I'm putting out that energy of like, hey, I just want to have sex, but then I get super needy on a text message, and then it can be confusing too. I feel like this whole podcast is confusing now. Maybe last night's was better. I don't know. I'll never know because it wasn't recorded. It's also just now being in my mid 40s. It's like, how does it become pathetic to just like only start looking for sex? I'm not even just looking for sex. It's just I'm not really a relationship person, but I'm also a very monogamous person. So if I have a fuck buddy, I'm only going to have the one. There's not going to be, especially if the sex is good. It almost makes it worse. Because if sex with somebody is really good, I don't even want to go out and look for, I might want to flirt with other guys, but in my head, I'm thinking like, well, why try and have sex with them? Because it's probably not going to be as good as the guy that I really want to have sex with, who's only a fuck buddy. It's very confusing. My I just a weird thing with my tongue if you're watching on YouTube. My other podcast partner, Christina Walkinshaw, is sending me a vibrator in the mail. As if you've listened to any of my other stuff, I don't own vibrators. I don't use vibrators. I'm not against them. I just have a very deep fear of keeping that kind of stuff in my apartment because, in case I die, my mom's going to have to clean out my apartment and find my vibrator. But I'll try it. I'm not against it. I don't know. I'm a very, very horny person. But at the same time, I like I like people to fill that horniness. I've never really been too much into masturbation or vibrators or um if I'm sleeping with somebody regularly, then I think masturbation or vibrators are great because it's just something on the side. Just makes it, a little more fun, something on the side. But if I'm not sleeping with anybody, which I have not been in a really long time, then if I try and masturbate, or I haven't used a vibrator in so long, but if I try and use the one Christina sends me, I'll just stick to talking about masturbation because I haven't used a vibrator. If I try and masturbate, which is usually like maybe once a month, I'll sometimes get excited and be like, I'm going to do it. And I feel like it's really exciting for like the first 5 minutes. And then my brain just like switches and it's like, this is so sad that you're doing this all by yourself. Like, it'd be so much better if it was a guy doing this to you. I have a really hard time doing strict masturbation unless I just had sex 2 days ago, or I know I'm going to have sex again very soon. But the thought of me being my only source of pleasure is, I feel like I've said this before. I'm probably going to repeat myself a lot on this podcast. If you listen to all the episodes, I'll apologize right now. Because, like I said, I don't write down what I'm going to say. I tend to ramble a lot. And so I'm guessing I'll probably repeat stuff. But I'll let you know. Maybe the vibrator will work out well. I just don't know. There's also a challenge that Christina and I have set up. Since I'm closer to 50 than 40, which I hate to say, hate to give you that information, but it's true. We decided to set up like a 50 before 50 challenge. That I'm going to be with 50 guys with torn before I turn 50. That's not going to happen. I mean, I'll take the challenge just for fun, but it probably should be like a 5 before 50, if that would even happen. I don't know. I mean, COVID has something to do with it. It's harder to meet people, but I also think before COVID, it was just too old for like sleeping with strangers. So, and I don't date. Dating is the worst to me. I'm not setting myself up well here. I do think there is something exciting about post COVID there where, before it hit, at my age, it would have been kind of sad to be out there looking for one night stands. But I feel like post COVID, everybody's just going to be excited to do anything. They won't be judging. They're not going to be like, you're too old to do this. They're just going to be like, oh, you've been locked up for a year all by yourself, living in a studio apartment? Yes, go for it. This is my new apartment, by the way. I've had a shared space for all of COVID. I just got a new apartment last week all by myself. So I'm ready to go. Ugh, I'm so torn. It's so hard to be so horny in your mid 40s and not want to have sex with strangers. Sometimes it just feels so hopeless. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? I don't want to go pick up men at a bar. I just want to have really good sex with people I know are really good in bed. I feel like I've lost a lot of patience. I think when I was younger, I had much more patience of like, well, if the sex is bad, whatever. And now I feel like if the sex is bad, I would just get up and leave in a minute. I don't know. It's so hard to know. You can just never know what you're going to get, especially if it's like with younger guys. I feel like a lot of the generation is into weird shit. A lot of butt stuff. I'm not into butt stuff. I won't talk about that. I don't want to totally gross you out. You should follow Christina and I on Jill and Off podcast though. And we just started a Patreon. So even if you don't listen to Jill and Off, if you like this podcast, you should go to the Patreon for Jill and Off and subscribe and become a patron because you'll still be supporting me because I am one half of Jill and Off. Christina Walkinshaw is the other half. She has an amazing blog that she puts out every Tuesday. She's a great writer. She's hilarious. You'll be supporting both of us. And we also have some exclusive material on the Patreon. We're doing our own videos every week. I'm not going to give away what we're doing, but it's pretty fun. It's a little more risque than what you might see. Yeah, I feel like I talked about a lot more stuff last night, but this is what happens when you're trying to redo a podcast. I also feel like I'm constantly editing myself now. I'm trying not to use men, women, guys, girls, because we're all just supposed to be the same now. So I either have to say I or just they. So we don't want to specify gender. I had to have I don't know. I grew up a girl. I'm proud to be a girl. I'm proud to be a woman. I've had people mistake me for a man before. when I've had really short hair and I tend to dress comfortably, doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me if anyone thought I was a man, but I'm also proud to be a girl. I don't feel like I have to take away my gender. Um, that's a whole separate issue that is way too deep to get into, I guess. I have to have mammograms all the time because I made the mistake of telling my doctor that there's breast cancer in my family, and now they make me come back like every 4 months, which is fine. But I have this weird thing, like where it's always cold in those doctor's offices. And I think I just have hard nipples by nature. But I had a mammogram like 2 days ago, and there was a woman. I mean, they always put me with a woman because, it's 2021. Also, when are you going to? I mean, I've had male gynecologists before, so I guess it could be a man, but nowadays it's always women. But she was, grabbing my boobs and putting them in the machine, and I just felt my nipples were like so hard, like torpedo hard. And I was like, she probably knows it's cold in here, right? But I also got a little self-conscious that she might think like, is this girl getting? I don't know if that's the equivalent to like a male boner. If your nipples get super hard and you're like, does this person think it's because they're touching me? I don't know. I don't care. She seemed really happy. She was a very happy nurse. So maybe my hard nipples made her happy too. Or maybe she's just always happy. I don't know. But if it was my hard nipples, then that that makes me feel good. Maybe I made somebody's day. Maybe a lot of her other patients had extremely soft nipples and she was offended. I don't know. Shout out to Vanessa up at UCLA. Just kidding. All right, guys. Wish me luck. Um, there's one more thing I'll say about fuck buddies. I have a tendency to get, like I said, I just want some communication. Sometimes you sleep with somebody, maybe if it's only sex for them, they sleep with you, sleep with me, trying to make it more personal. And then maybe they don't talk to me for a month. And sometimes I get really sad because, like I said, it's okay if I don't see you all the time, but I like to know that you care. And I'm just constantly like trying to weigh out like, is really good sex for an hour and a half worth maybe 2 or 3 days of sadness and crying if he does not reach out? Like, I'm always trying to weigh out the good. Is it worth it? Because there's some times when I'm like, just get rid of this. Don't do it. You feel sad. I'm like, but then I don't have any pleasure. So is the pleasure worth the sadness that might come after? You can email me at jenmurphylive@gmail.com if you'd like to weigh in. I don't know how it compares to like married people. I assume married people have issues with sex. It's probably not that different than a single person's issues. Like, how much are you willing to put up with? I don't know. Yeah. All right. I should probably end this because now I feel like I'm just zoned in out and thinking. I I hope this one tonight was better than last night's, but I'll never know. I'll try and work harder next week and not fuck up the sound. and you'll get the original podcast. No, I'm sure it was just as good. Anyway, Patreon, Chillin' Off Podcast. You can always Venmo me if you just want to support me solely, but you should support me and Christina. But my Venmo is at Jen Murphy Comedy. And all right, message me anytime. If you have any topics, I'm always looking for new topics. I love to explore relationships or life or whatever. Give me something to ramble about. All right. Thank you for listening or watching, whatever you do. Thank you.